back over the course of your life, particularly times of transition, like finishing school and starting a new job, or losing a job, how many of you had some sort of safety net to fall back on if you needed it? Maybe some savings, some financial help from family, or even a parent's or relative's home you could move into temporarily until you got back on your feet. You may never have needed it, but if it was there, did it affect any of your decisions or give you options you wouldn't have had otherwise? Were you able to take a risk knowing you had the freedom to fail? Or if you lose your job tomorrow, how many of you would have the resources and support to make ends meet until you get back on your feet? Consider for a moment how many Americans don't have this safety net. There's David. He had a well-paying manufacturing job, but was laid off when the factory closed last year. His local community college offers free tuition to help him retrain for employment in an in-demand field. But he's working several part-time, low-paying jobs to try and support his family, and his schedule is too erratic to attend class. Then there's Sarah. She graduated from college, saddled with tens of thousands of dollars of student loans. You may know someone like her. Unlike some of her peers, though, she didn't receive any financial support from family, and moving in with a relative temporarily wasn't an option. She took the first retail job offered so she could pay her bills, and she continues to work several jobs, focused entirely on paying this month's rent and loan payment. She doesn't have time to plan for her future or figure out how to capitalize on her college degree. And then there's Tina, a single mother with a 9th grade education and 4 young children. After losing her last job, she received cash assistance, allowing her to stay home with her kids while she looked for a new job. But she's reached the time limit and is no longer eligible for the money. All the jobs she's qualified for pay minimum wage, and even with a subsidy, she can't afford decent childcare. Her kids have been doing well in school and staying out of trouble while she's been home with them. Her high school-age son even went to a summer program at Berkeley that she found and pushed him to apply for. But soon, she won't be around. She won't have the time to be as involved or present in their lives. David, Sarah, and Tina are all facing economic insecurity and income volatility, like so many others you've been hearing about over the past 2 days. On a deeper level, though, they're trapped. The need to make ends meet today, tomorrow, and next month means they can't embrace opportunities that could lead to a secure future. And their stories aren't unique. Our economy and the types of jobs available are changing at an incredibly fast pace and show no signs of slowing down. Many more people are going to continue facing these challenges. So what can we do? I've been thinking about this a lot over the last 10 years, and one thing became clear. What we're doing is not working. Though we should continue trying to strengthen and improve existing programs, we need to explore bold, transformative solutions. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. A safety net that could prevent and alleviate poverty and economic insecurity that could be more efficient, more effective, and more empowering than our current approach. It's called universal basic income. How many of you have heard of universal basic income? How many of you are skeptical of basic income? I know it's a bit outside the mainstream, and the idea is not without its opponents. On its face, it seems completely infeasible. How are we going to pay for it? Politicians will never support it, and so on. But so many of our social programs are reactive, failing to address a problem until many people's lives have been upended, and then acting as more of a Band-Aid than a sustainable response to the problem. We need to be proactive. Basic income could take various forms, but in its simplest, the government would send every citizen a check each month in an amount to meet the most basic needs for food and shelter. Everyone would receive the money, but once individuals' income and wealth reaches a certain level, they would begin paying it back in taxes. Some of us might end up paying all of our basic income back in taxes some years, but if we lose our job, need to take time off to care for parents or kids, or even decide to start our own business, we would have the security of a basic income. Because it's universal, we wouldn't have to apply for it or experience the stigma associated with traditional welfare. It's a kind of social security for all. The Davids, Sarahs, Tinas, and all those other people struggling with insecurity and volatility both now and in the future, basic income could be a safety net that protects and empowers. With a basic income, David and others whose jobs are automated could take advantage of retraining opportunities. Sarah could afford to take the time to look for a full-time job related to her degree, and she could even afford to relocate if that job was somewhere else. Tina could continue to spend time with her children, preparing them for college and a secure future. Interest in basic income has skyrocketed lately, and many people have expressed very strong opinions, both for and against it. But the debate relies heavily on conjecture, stereotypes, and out-of-date studies. We have very little evidence for how a basic income would actually work in the US in the 21st century. But Y Combinator Research is going to change that. About a year ago, Y Combinator, a startup accelerator whose alumni include Airbnb, Dropbox, and Reddit, established a nonprofit research organization to explore big ideas. In his work, YC President Sam Altman is seeing firsthand how companies are able to produce far more with far fewer workers. And this inspired him to make a basic income study one of the organization's first projects. We don't know if basic income is a good idea or even the best solution to address our problems, but we won't know unless we start testing it. The reality is the labor market is changing rapidly, and job loss, unemployment, and wages that leave an individual who works full-time at or below the poverty line will continue to rise unless we do something about it. We need to start experimenting, and we're beginning with basic income. Instead of just tinkering at the margins or participating in a debate based largely on conjecture, we want to study this. To help guide the academic, policy, and political debates, we'll recruit approximately 3,000 individuals across 2 US states and randomly assign 1,000 in total to receive approximately $1,000 per month for 3 to 5 years. We want to know if and how this basic level of income security helps people cope and maybe even thrive in the midst of uncertainty and volatility. There's some things we expect to see. Consumption smoothing, reductions in stress, improvements in mental health, but they'll be likely be surprised by other things. How do people spend their time and money? Do health outcomes improve? Does basic income change the way people make decisions or make investments in human capital? Are people happier and more hopeful? Could basic income prevent emergencies in people's financial lives, making them more stable and resilient? We might find that basic income isn't, in fact, better than our existing social safety net. But we're not afraid to ask an ambitious question and to conduct rigorous analyses to try and answer that question. Even if our results aren't promising, our findings may suggest improvements to the approach or even create a path to the next possible solution. Here's my challenge to you. What big, bold ideas do you have to help your clients or employees navigate the change and uncertainty in their lives? And what are you doing to test those ideas? Start today. Universal basic income is one big idea to address the uncertainty America's workers face both now and in the future. What's yours?